Everybody, and welcome to today's breakdown. I haven't done it in a while, I know, and I've been getting messages all over the place saying, obviously the breakdowns with the charts are good, but I think obviously some of you learn slightly differently or just prefer a video, so we will do these from now on as well. Cool. So today we're going to go over EU and USD CAD. I think USD CAD was pretty straightforward. I think this one confused a few people. So we're going to replay it from the start to the finish. Explain each bit. Explain obviously the structure. I think that's what confused a few of you. The rest of it's all pretty simple. Cool. So we come into the session, right? As you guys know, I only trade situation 1 or situation 2. Situation 1, major structure inside the new session. Your high and low needs to be inside the new session, okay? Situation 2, minor structure inside the new session, same thing. So from a starting perspective, straight away, what have we got? So let's mark out our structure. So this was our previous low, which we broke here. Now, where's the next low form? Okay, so we have this body break here. Where's the lowest wick? It's here, right? So that forms outside the session. So if we use this as a first break of structure, that becomes situation 3, right? Because it's outside the session. So what do we need to do? Okay, we need to wait for the high and the low to form, either minor or major, inside the session to follow situation 1 or 2. Okay, so this is our major range, and we haven't created a minor one yet. Okay, well, we've created the high actually. That's a lie. So here's our major high, here's our major low. If we wanted to trade situation 1, we'd have to wait for that to break and then create a new low, and then the new low becomes our first break inside the session. Okay, so we create our minor high. Okay, how do we know it's our minor high? It's broken below this body here, so we created a pullback. Okay, so let's continue to play. Let me get rid of that. What do we need? We need the low to form. So there you go, the low has just formed, okay, because we've just broken above that previous candle. So if I mark out, what's the best way to do this? If I mark our major structure black and then our minor structure blue. Let me change the color, blue. And blue. Okay, so let's continue to play. Nothing going on. Okay, so what do we get? We get that first minor break of structure, right? Where did it come from? We don't need to be too specific yet, but it came from this buy candle here. Okay, let's continue to play and see what happens. So we create a successful retrace, so we've created our next new minor low. Okay, and we've come up into the point of interest, right? Sorry, into the impulsive OB. Yes, but not point of interest because we're not interested in trading from it. Okay, let's continue to play, see what happens. Now, at this point here, as you guys know from the PDF, which you should have read, I don't trade liquidity grabs for the mitigation. The mitigation needs to be specific and clear to me. And to me, I now don't know what that's actually reacted to, okay? And it's certainly not in the session. So as far as this setup goes, that's now completely invalidated for me. And then I'll just continue to watch from here. So what's the next move now? The next move is either we create a new major structure low or we break out of the minor structure and then we reset and we go from there. Let's continue to watch. Okay, so nothing going on. We just range in, blah, 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 blah. And then we get a new major break of structure, okay? So at this point, what we can do is we can delete our previous range. We can put our new range high on, which is here. And then we're going to wait for the low to form. So let's wait for the low. Okay, so there's our low. How do we know it's a low? Because we've body broke above. So now we have our range low. Okay, so now we have our major structure that's formed inside the session. Okay, so a break either to the high or to the low is now going to create that impulsive OB. Okay, and exactly the same thing for minor structure if it happened inside. So let's continue to play. So what do we get? We get our first major structure, situation 1, break inside the session, right? Making sense? Hopefully it is. From here onwards, what do we now need? We now need a successful retrace that then goes on to break structure again, and we need a mitigation, don't we? And this one was a little bit not tricky, but just a little bit different, because if we think about our extreme candle, right? Why is it our extreme? Because it's the last buy at the top of the range. It's already been touched, yeah? So we do have technically the 50% left. So what we could do is we can mark out the 50%. But what also sticks out to me here is we have this final base within this buy candle here, which then creates this imbalance, which then creates this momentum, okay? So at this point here, it's kind of a strange one, but we have two potential points where price could come to, right? So it could technically come to the 50%, although that OB has already been touched. So that's not a fresh OB, right? Because there's no imbalance there. Yeah. So if there was imbalance here, then we'd ignore this one. Yeah. But because there's not, we do have two potentials, and this becomes a little bit more of an option. Now, what we would need to do here is increase our probability by moving down the time frames and making sense of it to a solidified, clear OB, okay, which we'll do in a minute. So let's continue to play. So we're just making this low. Okay, so our successful retrace starts. We know it starts because we break above. Bit boring, takes a while. Okay, so we get a wick up into that first point of mitigation that we can see. Now all we need is either now a follow through in respect of that range, or we could push up into the 50% of the extreme candle and then push back down. So let's just continue playing. Sorry, let me mark out the low. Okay, so we've had a nice reaction from there, and then what do we get? We get this really nice momentum back down to the downside, okay? Now, just to note, annoyingly, replay mode has completely changed the candles, okay? So this is how it was in live price. So we do get that second break of structure, okay? We get that tiny little body break there. Well, it's not tiny, it's pretty big to be fair. However, you'll see here, oh, I need to replay it again. For some reason, the candles have changed from live price action, okay, and now we don't get the break. But you're just going to have to use your imagination and pretend that that's broken and that we're at this point here, okay? So we've had that successful retrace, okay? So at this point here, let's delete this, and then what we're going to do is we're going to mark that, and we're going to take it left. So what we could say straight away is it's reacted to 50%, hasn't it? However, if you remember what I said before, I want to make sense of this mitigation because it hasn't come to the extreme candle 50%. I want to see a nice clear OB that it has reacted to, okay? So let's drop to the time frame. Let's go 30 seconds. Exactly the same thing as the 1 minute here. Nothing clear at all. 15 seconds. Sorry, let me just get this on. There we go. 15 seconds. Nothing clear. It's a base again, so there's nothing really clear there for me. And then on the 5 second, this is where it becomes nice and clear. So what we now have is if we, I don't know why that's moved. Replay mode's on a madness. There we go. We mark out our 5 second structure. So we had our let me go to this, 5 second high. We then had another break here, another break here, and then a strange little break here. And then we break to the downside, break, 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 break. So there's our major structure, most recent break. Now, if we trace that back, hang on, I haven't put this on right again. I'm having a mare. There we go. If we trace that back to, if we think about the range, so once this break of structure happens here, where's the range high? The range high is here. Why is it there? Because we get our final body break above the previous candle before the move down, right? What we then have is we quite clearly have this OB here, right? The last buy candle with imbalance at the top of the range that then causes that break of structure. Yeah, making sense? So what we've done is we've simply gone from that base time frame 1 minute, and we've increased our probability by making sense of that reaction on the lower time frame. Again, as I said before, if there was imbalance here, we wouldn't have even looked at this because this would have been our extreme, okay? But in terms of what we discussed before, whereas this is the base, the last buy candle before the volume comes in with the imbalance, I just decided to, okay, so I'm going to wait for a reaction from either one and then make sense of it on the lower time frame, okay? Again, you need to pretend that this broke because in live time, it did, okay? Don't get confused with that. Now, so we've had our rule number 1, we've had our rule number 2, we've made sense of the mitigation, we've got nice volume, we've got a nice mitigation. Now we just need to find our OB, yeah? So let me get rid of that firstly. So in terms of OB, we've got this very last buy candle here, However, to me, that's just a continuation candle. It's not even a range. So what I'm going to do is simply refine this down. Why do I need to refine it? Because it's already been touched by this candle here. Okay. I thought I got rid of that. There we go. So let's refine it down. 30-second, I can't see anything clear there. Absolutely nothing there for me. 15-second, now we have a nice clear OB. Okay, so let's get rid of this for a moment and mark out our 15-second range. Our 15-second low was here. Where's the range high from this break here? The range high is there. Okay, we've got a buy candle, we've got imbalance, nice and clear. Okay, so all we've done is we've refined that POI down because it was already touched, and then we refine it down to a lower time frame clear point. Now, in terms of refinement, it is of course up to you. You can refine however far and not far you want. To me, I'd rather miss a trade than take losses. Simple as that. So to me, I'm always going to refine a POI down to a more specific reaction. I mean, how big's this? Yeah, a pip and a half. So generally, I want anywhere between like under a pip to like 2.5, maybe maximum if it's nice and clear. But obviously, always the smaller the better because it's a more specific reaction point, right? So let's continue to play. We get a wick any second now. So there we go. So we've just tapped into the POI. At this point, you guys know the drill. You've got your range, so you've got your high there. Work your way back to find the low, which is here. So now all we care about is if that low breaks. Let's continue to play. There we go. So we get our intent. Now you guys know for me that is my entry criteria from the point of interest. Again, from the PDF, I'm more than happy to enter off the last buy candle if I can cover the range high. So where's the range high in this scenario? It's here. So let's just mark that out. We need to cover that high with the stop loss. 2 pips, that's my maximum, so that's absolutely fine. And then that's where the entry goes. Okay, let's play. We get triggered in here. That next breaker structure to go break even. And there's that breaker structure to go break even. Okay. Now this one then comes back up, and I thought it was going to take me break even, but it didn't. It was very close. There we go. There's that move back down, and then we start to move away. Okay. So let's have a look at the higher time frame again. So where do I take partials? It's always at 1 to 10, isn't it? So let's mark out 1 to 10. It was just below this wick. There we go. And then that is where the first partial is taken. Now, obviously, I chose to take 8R here. Why did I choose to do that? Simply because it's been a little bit quiet for the last 2 weeks. I missed that 1 to 110 on EU last Tuesday, I think it was. So that's been a little bit painful. There was nothing really else clear to me. So I haven't really traded much. So I just wanted to pay myself and yeah, finish the week on a high note, really. 20% was then left to run. Obviously, I closed 8R at 1 to 10, so 20% is left to run, which then went on to break even. And there's that break even point. So what did we hit a max? We hit a max 1 to 12. Yeah, nice trade. Nice and clear. Made sense of the mitigation. Situation 1, because we didn't use our previous low here because it was outside the session. We then had that liquidity grab on the minor structure inside that range, so we didn't use that. We then saw we had our first major break. We retraced. We had 2 potential reaction points. This one was nice and clear because we had the momentum, the imbalance, the buy candle, and then the 5-second OB within there. Okay. We then refined our POI down because the open had already been touched. Yeah, already been touched here. We refined it down. Nice clear 15-second POI. Was it 15-second? Yeah, 15-second, I think. And then we pushed away. So nice and clear. Oh, the only thing I didn't mention actually is obviously you just need to check your higher time frames, yeah, like we did in the PDF before. And it was also that mitigation did happen at the open of that 2 minute as well, so it's all good. Could use the whole 2 minute if you wanted to, but it was a little bit big. I'd rather use. Oh no, we couldn't toy because it didn't break. But yeah, we didn't have any conflict because we'd already had that break. Obviously, again, the 2 minute low was outside, but you guys know how to do that from the PDF. So no conflict, nice and clear momentum, nice clear POI, nice reaction, 1 to 10, happy days. Oh, that was that one. Let's get rid of that. So let's do USD CAD. So we need to go back, not that far. Cool, so let's start from the open again. Okie dokie, so again, what do we need to do? Situation 1 or situation 2. So let's just quickly mark out our previous structure. So our current range is here for our major. So what do we need to do? We need to wait for a high or a low to form, don't we, within the session, yeah? So let's continue to play. Now let me mark out minor, sorry. So we create this minor low here. How do we know that's a low? Because we then break above this candle here. And then we create our minor high at this point. So again, it's outside the session, so I wouldn't use that. But we can mark it out just to follow it. Continue playing. So nothing of interest yet. Okay, so at this point here, we break our previous major low. So now we know if we now create a successful retrace and we start to pull back, we then create our first session low for major structure, right? So let's continue to play. I think it's this candle, yeah. So there's that low created. So let's get rid of all of this to make it a bit clearer. So we've now created our session low. Okay, let's continue to play. Okay, and we get that big impulsive break of structure to the downside. Now, this one's clear, but a bit hectic because it happened so quickly, right? I think we've got a pretty clear idea of where our OB is, right? So let me mark that out with the fib like always and continue to play. The reason I said this is hectic because essentially we create a successful retrace in the next candle. It's not very often you see this, but it is very volatile. So we break to the downside, we then create this low. We know it's a low because we broke above the candle. We come into the 50%, and then if we continue to watch, we push away for that successful retrace, that rule 2, right? Now, this mitigation itself is nice and clear. What you could have done if you wanted to be extra specific is you could have come down and said, okay, so we refine that 30-second candle. 1 minute candle, sorry, into the 30-second. We're within the open and the 50%, and then we get a nice push away, right? So yeah, simple as that. Now, let's mark out that. In terms of the POI, I think you'd all agree that this is absolutely massive. 8 pips, so let's refine it down. Where's my magnet tool gone? There we go. Let's refine it down. 30-second refinement into the imbalance. Again, it's still quite big. Let's have a look at what sort of range we're looking at. Still looking at a 5-pip range. Now, generally for me, I want anywhere between under a pip and like 2.5 is sort of like the ideal situation. So we do need to refine this down again. Let's have a look at the 15-second. There's nothing there, is there, that we can refine it down to? Let's have a look at the 5. And then we get a nice clear picture, right? Let's refine it down to this one. We need to ask ourselves, is that an order block? So let's get our drawing tool out. So we had this previous low. We had this previous, where's our high? Yeah, we had this previous high. We broke that to create our new high, our new low. We broke there. We know it's the low because it broke below the candle there. Extreme of the range, imbalance, broke structure. That's a good refinement, okay? And it's also a nice specific reaction point. So when I talk about specific reaction points, you've probably heard me say it before. What I basically mean is a reaction point where if we do get a reaction from it, I'm going to be extremely confident to take the trade, okay? If you think about it this way, if your POI is like this on the 5-second, right, price is coming in like this. Oh. How confident are you going to be that you have this much space above you that this first intent is going to hold? For me personally, not very. With this much with this much space above it, to me that's not a specific reaction. A specific reaction is something more like this, okay? So now we can see that we've had a smaller range, we've had a move away from it, right? So that's all I mean by a specific reaction point. So let's have a look at that on the base time frame and see how it looks. What sort of range are we looking at? Are we between 1 and 2.5? Yes, we're at 2, so that's absolutely fine, okay? Let's continue to play. Okay, so what do we get? We get that tap in. This happens very quickly as well. Oh, way too far. Oh no. There we go. So again, just like Euro USD, what do we need to do? We need to mark our range out. Where's our low? Our low is here. So all we're bothered about here is a break of structure. Now, I think now is a good time to say this. People always say, how do you end so quickly? You need to have your lot size and MetaTrader open before you even get to this. Yeah, you need to have your lot size input at the top, and you need to be ready. You need to have your phone ready on the screen or on your computer, whatever you do. you can't wait to get into this break structure and then start working out your lot sizes, yeah? I know Hans and myself both do it before the London session even starts, and then I just have it on my phone on the notes, so I know what a pip is, I know what a pip and a half is, and I know what 2 pips is, yeah? So the only difference with this one is basically we get that break of structure, and at this point, obviously, I had a limit set out, as in like MetaTrader limit ready to go to enter the price and the stop loss. Now, when you get a small little break like this, I just switch straight to market execution and then re-input the stop loss at the top. Yeah, because when it's this small, what you can get is you can just create a small little break and it comes straight back in and then it goes again. So you need to be ready to execute, which is exactly what happened here. Within the next candle, now bear in mind you do get about 5 seconds to do this. So with experience, you don't need any more than 5 seconds to be honest once you've got used to it. Yeah, so market execution. Why did I enter here? Well, this buy candle up here had already been touched, right, by the next wick. So there's no imbalance there. The imbalance sits here, but that's not a buy candle, is it? So the last clear buy candle with volume I could see was this one, right? So I was happy to enter off of that. So I hit a market execution, and my entry was, let me just check, MetaTrader 5, 191. So I ended up getting in, it must have been on the next candle, yeah. Ended up getting in here. Now the only slightly risky thing about this is I didn't have the whole high, what do you call it? I didn't have the high, with my stop loss. But as you guys know, 2 pips maximum for me. So if I hit stop loss, it is what it is. Unlucky. I was already up for the morning, so I was happy to market execute. So that was the entry I got. Ideally, it would have been, a pip up, and then I could have had space above, but I couldn't do that because of how quickly it happened, and it was 191. The same rules apply, right? So we need to wait for our next break of structure. There we go. So there's our break-even point. Break, retrace, break. It was a bit of a weird one, obviously, because sorry, the second break was here actually. So I was lucky here because I actually waited in real time for price to break here, but I completely misinterpreted the fact that this was our break and then this was actually our successful retrace. I mean, it would have been fine either way, but yeah. But anyway, so same partial point as always. Let's mark that out. 1 to 10, which is around there, just before. And there's our 1 to 10. Now this one, I know I took the 8R on EU, but I was happy once I had the 8R. I took 5R here like normal, and then I did leave the rest to run. I did have another alert set at 1 to 20 to take another 5, but we never reached there, and we ended up almost getting there. Never quite set that alert off, and then we came up to take a break even. So I didn't take any more partials in this one. It was only the 5. We did hit a maximum 1 to 15. But I just didn't take any more, but it is what it is. So yeah, EU USD CAD. I think that's all pretty clear. Obviously, if it's not, you're welcome to message. Obviously, you guys in the mentorship can create a ticket. You guys in the monthly, you can message in the group, and I'll get back to you when I'm free. I think they're both pretty straightforward, to be fair. The only complexity with EU was obviously the confusion between why I waited for this structure break, but it's simply because it was situation 1 within the session. Mitigation normal, OB, POI entry normal. USD CAD. I mean, the only slight complexity here was that everything happened so quickly, but the rules are there for a reason: break, retrace, break, and then a nice little refinement. Obviously, you can refine however you want to. For me personally, like I said, I'd rather refine really specifically to a clear OB, and I'd rather miss the trade and take a loss for not refining properly. So yeah, a nice little 8R and a nice 5R today. I think. Just want to say quickly, I don't want to go into too far because obviously we've got the psychology section, but there's been a lot of emotional trading going on the last 2 weeks. Guys, honestly, you're going to get quiet periods. It's just how it is. It's been the same for me and Tam for the last 5 years. You're going to have days like this where you've got 2 trades in a single day, and then you're going to have a period, a couple months later where you've got no trades in 2 weeks. As simple as that. I think a few of you are forgetting that there was that 1 to 110 on EU on last Tuesday. So there has been trades there. It's just there has been a little bit quieter. If you scroll up through the breakdown section, you'll see me take, I don't know, 3, 4 trades every single week for, for a consecutive couple of months. And then you are just going to get these little quiet weeks. And I think, if these quiet weeks are making you take crappy trades just because you want to be in something, then you definitely need to think about how you can help your psychology, whether that be going through Tanz's psychology section in the Discord, or if you're going to, find a YouTuber that talks about these sort of things that really help you. Um, Books for me, I'm too lazy to read. I don't read, but I did do like YouTube podcasts and stuff like that. But yeah, honestly, just the rules are there. Me and Tans have sat. We've got thousands of hours on the chart. You know the edges there. You've seen our results. For you guys, it's just simply a case of practicing, refining, journaling everything down, learning from your mistakes, taking wins, taking losses, seeing the patterns between those wins and losses, finding the pairs you like, finding the time frames you like. And yeah, just practice, 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 really. But I'll leave you there. I hope you all have a good evening, and I will speak to you all soon.